Good day, sir. I am Lorraine Kit M. Hernandez from BSAD English 1A. And now, me and my group will be discussing the factors affecting social and emotional development. This topic is important because these factors shape how young people understand themselves, manage their emotion, and also how they interact with other people.
So these are the learning objectives. After studying this lesson, you will able to first describe the factors affecting cognitive development. Second, discuss the factors that promote children's social and emotional development. And the last one is craft a personal principle list to enhance the social and emotional development of learners.
The social and emotional development of a child is crucial in their overall growth and well-being. A child who has a healthier emotional and social environment is more likely to exhibit a positive attitude in their academic pursuit. On the other hand, a child who grew up in an environment opposite to their own is likely to struggle with participation, which may result in rejection by their classmates, poor self-esteem, and a distorted self-concept. In this lesson, we will explore the various factors that impacts our learners' social and emotional well-being.
We have poor physical surroundings. It is refers to the environment that do not provide children with enough safe space or opportunities to play, explore, and move freely. When children grow up in the area with the limited recreational spaces such as crowded neighborhood, unsafe streets, and places with few parks, they may not be develop their motor skills properly. This environment can also affect or limit their chances to interact with other people that can affect both physical and social growth, reminding us that an unhealthy or unsafe environment can slow down child development and lessen their ability to learn through play. Isang halimbawa natin dito, pag ang bata ay lumaki sa masikip at walang lugar upang mapaglaruan kung saan malilimitahan ang kanyang pakikipag-usap o pakikisama sa ibang tao, pag sinama siya sa ibang grupo, maaaring siya ay tumahimik dahil hindi siya makapag-express ng kanyang sarili dahil nasanay siya na walang interaction or nasanay siya sa lugar na kanyang tinitirahan kung saan nalilimitahan nga ang interaction sa ibang tao. Now, let's proceed to number 2. Lack of health facilities and cleanliness. Lack of health facilities and cleanliness places children at high risk. Why? Because proper hygiene and medical care are very essential for their well-being. When health services are unavailable or difficult to access, they may experience untreated illness that can affect their physical, emotional, and social development. Without a proper healthcare and clean living environment, children is more likely to face long-term health problems that can affect their overall development and daily living functioning. Halimbawa na lamang, ang bata ay lumaki sa maduming paligid kaya't parati siyang nagkakasakit. Ngunit malayo sila sa health center kung kaya't hindi siya nabibigyan ng gamot para maibsan ang karamdaman niya. Kaya't patuloy na lang niya itong nararamdaman.
Now let's move forward and talk about the different family risk factors that can affect the child's emotional and social development. The first one being the work-related stress for the parents. As we all know, parents or parental factors are one and the most crucial factor that can affect the family relationship. For example, a child's parent is working abroad. There will be two different perspectives and one can misunderstood one another. In the parent's perspective, working abroad is sacrificing their time that they're supposedly be giving to their children as they are growing up to earn money to sustain their daily needs and to have a better future ahead of them, because money can bring you all your necessities, can help you with your education so you can have a comfortable life. Whereas in a children's perspective, their parents working abroad is not giving them enough attention, not being them at the important parts or events of their lives, and they are not there to physically encourage them at times that they feel their themselves getting insecure. And because of this, most children are likely to develop low self-esteem and confidence because they do not have the parental support right beside them. And also, one another example, even if not abroad, sometimes parents' work can affect the students' life or development in terms of social and emotional. At work, of course, there are going to be some problem. There are going to be some stress that the parents have to go through, and subconsciously they tend to bring the negative energy at their home, and the negative energy sometimes they can pass it through their children, or because of they are so tired, they are not giving enough attention to their children anymore, causing their children to feel that their parents are prioritizing their work over them as children. And because of that, some children are likely to seek attention in other ways, such as getting rebellious, so that their parents can spend more time with them. Next would be the poor family rituals and routine. In a family traditional setting, a family should be eating in the same table together. They should have some recreation every weekend so that they can have bonding together as a family, or they should be together at nighttime before they fall asleep. But due to different factors, work, school, and other personal factors, some families do not have these rituals anymore. Some parents would come home late at night because of their works or any personal matters to their children already fall asleep, and then the children would wake up in the morning with their parents already gone to work. And because of this relationship, the parents and the children could not have enough time to spend time together, to talk about how their life has been, to catch up with each other. They do not have time to tell each other about their concerns, about what has been bothering them lately, making the children or the parents have to suppress all the emotion to themselves. Also, because of this, they do not have the social interaction inside their family, making it difficult, because if it's not practiced at home, it will be difficult for the children to interact outside their household, because inside these practices are no longer existing. So these factors really affect the child's emotional and social development. If the children feels like their family are just living inside the same house, but they do not know about the emotions or the problems that one is facing, and they are not there to help each other in terms of emotional aspects, so it will be harder for the child to understand or to express their emotions outside, because even inside their home they are not comfortable to share it, as well as in social, because at home their rituals or their schedules are not meeting. They are forced to live alone or independent without their parents' guidance, and because of this, the social interaction are no longer there. So when they go outside, for example, to their peers, to their school, it will be harder for them to gain friends or to interact with each other, because they do not know how to approach, because in the first place they cannot approach their family at home. A child's development varies upon his or her environment. If the environment is poor and the emotion and the social interactions are lacking, if not non-existent in the environment, it will be hard for the children to adapt this emotion and social intelligence. And these factors can help us to distinguish what parts of the child's life should we more focus on so that they can really develop their whole well-being positively.
Good day, I am Linkers Esther Weda, and I'll be continuing discussing the family risk factors in social and emotional development. So let's move on to lack of love and respect at home harms children. Home should offer comfort and respect. If instead there is hatred, fighting, and arguments, children may feel envy or develop mental problems. So yung home po kasi, it's very essential for the development in early age. Kasi po, dun po talaga natin natutunan yung mga bagay-bagay na maa-apply natin in real world. So, kung puro po hatred lang yung natutunan mo in the early age, kung yun lang yung na-feel mo, and hindi ka na-feelan ng love and respect in that stage of your life, yung early age nga po, you may struggle on having a relationship to others. Kasi nga po, hindi po sa'yo na-fulfill yung love in that early age. So, you may struggle also giving love to others. And yun nga po, in the future, mahihirapan nga po kayong magkaroon ng relationship. Kasi nga po, you may distance yourself if you only experience those things. Yun nga po yung heartache, fighting, and arguments. You may feel distance yourself to others. And mahihirapan ka din po talagang i-handle yung emotions mo in the real world. Kasi nga po, yun yung nakagisnan mo. Yung puro away lang, or puro arguments lang yung nakikita mo. Yun nga po, mahihirapan kang i-handle yung mga emotions mo in the future that may can affect you as a person. So, and also, mahihirapan ka din talagang makisalamuha sa iba. Kasi nga yun lang yung na-feel mo throughout your years, your early childhood years. And also, probably madadala mo siya, and kasi po yung kung ano pinakagisnan nyo, yun na po yun. Hanggang lumaki na kayo, yun na po yung mafe-feel nyo, yun na yung tatak sa utak nyo, yun na yung mabibigay nyo din sa iba. Kasi nga po yun pinakagisnan nyo, yun yung mga natutunan nyo. And yun din yung probably magagamit nyo din siya. And if you became a parent, baka maging ganun ka din kagaya. Kasi yun yung nakita mo in your early childhood, yun yung nakagisnan mo. Kaya yun yung probably mabibigay mo din through your future children. Yun din yung mapapakita mo kasi nga yun din yung nakagisnan mo. So probably it's a life cycle. Kung ano yung natutunan mo hanggang paglaki, may ibabalik mo yun sa mapapakita mo din yun sa future children mo. And then ikot-ikot lang. It's all it is. Kaya sobrang essential ng love and respect sa development talaga ng children. Kasi dun, kapag may love and respect, mas madedevelop ng maganda yung social and emotional ng mga bata. Kaya very risk factor din to kapag nawala yung love and respect. Now, let's move on to abuse and violence. Abuse and violence are not something a child should experience inside or outside their household. Abused children are likely to develop deep trauma that they are likely to carry into adulthood. So, yung mga abused children daw po is likely to develop deep trauma daw po na dadalan nila hanggang sa paglaki nila. So, yung trauma po kasi, it's hard to heal. Yung iba nagpapa-treatment pa sila. And actually, hindi naman po typically nawawala yung trauma. Nahi-heal lang po siya from that trauma. Pero, never po siya nawala or never mo po siyang makakalimutan. So, very, po talaga, hirap yung i-heal din kasi you still remember it every day. Hindi mo naman po nawawala yun sa utak natin. It's just heal. Parang the life goes on na lang po din tayo. Continue na lang tayo to live. Pero yung trauma talaga, hindi rin po talaga nawawala. And yung mga deep trauma nga po, yun nga po, iba po talaga is nagsisik na sila ng help sa professional para lang mawala din, or hindi naman mawala, pero ma-heal lang yung trauma nila from that specific thing na na-experience nila. And iba naman po na hindi po properly na-handle yung trauma nila is na-apply po kasi nila through other person din, nagagawa nila through other person din. Kasi po, that's how they experience things kapag po usually if they experience abuse, they might also do it sa iba. So yung especially po yung mga bata po, di ba po, kapag po palagi po siyang binubugbog or experience po siya ng violence, he also do it to other children. Ginagawa niya din po yung mga bagay na ginagawa sa kanya. And also po, example po nito, we also have a classmate before po. He is also experiencing abuse from her stepfather naman po. And it affects him so deeply po that he also do it to other children. Pero naman po, sometimes we should have also understand them. Kasi po talagang mahirap din po para sa kanila. Nakagisnan lang po nila yan, kaya din po nila talaga ginagawa po. And yun nga po, hindi rin po sila, as magkukunik ko rin po yun sa una po, yung love and respect. Hindi po kasi sila naka-experience ng ganun bagay. Kaya po, nagagawa din po talaga nila yun sa iba. Or nagiging nasasaktan din nila iba. Kasi nga po, yun din po yung experience nila eh. So, yung iba nga po, nahirapan po mag-cope po doon sa trauma na yun. Pero yung iba naman po is, nakaka-cope naman po sila. So, we should not make them experience this abuse and violence. And also po, as a future teacher po, we should assess them properly and handle this situation properly. And we should know po kung paano po natin sila mas ma-handle pa ng mas maayos. Kaya nga din po, we need to know their background first before concluding things. Especially po if yung bata po is ilakul po siya or hindi po maganda yung pakikitungo niya sa iba. We should also see her point of view to properly assess her or him. So, yun lang po. That's all.
Ngayon dumako na tayo sa within child risk factors. Ang within child risk factors ay mga bagay na nagbumula mismo sa loob ng bata. Kasama na ang temperament, personality, emotion, at biological condition. Ibig sabihin, kahit may support sa environment at family, may mga batang natural na may tendencies na makakapekto sa kanilang social at emotional development. Number 1. Passive temperament. Ang passive temperament ay natural na paraan ng mga bata sa pag-react sa mga sitwasyon. May mga batang mas iyakin, madaling ma-frustrate, mataas ang energy, o mabilis magalit. Dahil dito, minsan, nagiging mahirap para sa kanila makipaglaro, pagsunod sa rules, at emotion regulation. Madalas nilang ginagawa ang pag-iyak para makuha ang atensyon, pagsigaw kapag naiinis, at pagiging relentless o sobrang active. In here, we must realize that such temperament may have a long-lasting effect on the children. Kapag hindi na manage ng maaga, maaari magresulta ito sa mga sumusunod. Una, antisocial behavior. Ayaw niya nang makihalubilo, hindi na marunong makisama, at madalas umiiwas sa group activities. Pangalawa, negative emotion. Insecurities, pagiging irritable, madaling matrigger ang galit o sadness. Dahil dito, kailangan ng consistent na guidance mula sa adults para matulungan silang i-regulate ang emotion at behavior nila. Halimbawa, sa classroom, may batang mabilis mainis kapag hindi siya yung unang matawag. Kapag nagkakamali, umiyak ka agad. Kung patuloy itong hindi ma-manage, pwedeng humina ang confidence niya at tumayo siya sa mga classmates niya. Ang teacher, sa halip ng pagalitan, binibigyan niya ng calming time at kinakausap niya ng mahinahon. At binibigyan niya ng mga clear routines. Unti-unti, tututo siyang kontrolin ang damdamin niya. Next naman is ang developmental disabilities and exceptionalities. Ito ay ang grupo ng kondisyon kung saan may impairment sa physical, learning, o language abilities ng bata. Dahil dito, naapektuhan ang kanilang behavior, confidence, communication, at pakikatungo sa iba. Sanin ito ng iba't ibang factors tulad ng genetics, kondisyon ng nanay habang nagbubuntis, at early developmental complications. Sa murang edad, maaaring lumabas ang low self-esteem, frustration, o inggit, lalo na kapag hindi nila kayang gawin ang mga ginagawa ng ibang bata. Pero hindi ibig sabihin nito ay hindi na sila maaaring mabuhay na normal, productive, o happy life. May inclusive education na ngayon kung saan sinasali ang learners with disabilities sa regular classes. Sa ganitong uri ng education, mahalaga ang papel ng mga teachers. Para maging effective, dapat train ng teachers. Naka-adjust ang teaching to materials at may constant communication sa parents. Isa sa pinakamagandang halimbawa ng inclusive education ay ang pagpasok ng isang blind student sa isang regular classroom. Kahit hindi siya nakakakita, nagiging posible ang learning niya dahil sa tamang support at adjustment. Para makasabay siya, gumagamit siya ng braille worksheet at minsan ay audio lessons. Ang teacher naman ay nagbibigay ng verbal description sa mga pictures, charts, at demonstration para ma-imagine niya ang lesson. Sa group activities, sinusuguro ng teacher na active participant pa rin siya. Tinuturuan ng classmate na i-guide siya ng maayos, gaya ng pag-assist sa paglilipat ng upuan, pag-describe ng materials, at paggamit ng sound cues sa activities tulad ng PE. Dahil sa mga adjustment na ito, nakakabuo siya ng confidence, nagkakaroon siya ng mga kaibigan, at nakakapag-perform siya ng halos katulad ng ibang learners. Pinapakita nito na kaya ng mga blind student na mag-excel sa regular classroom basta may tamang support at collaboration.
Now, I will be sharing some of the essential things to remember when it comes to guiding and supporting our learners. Firstly, a learner's maturity depends on their mental development. Iba-iba ang bilis ng pag-unlad ng bawat bata, kaya dapat hindi natin i-generalize ang ating mga estudyante. Our role as a teacher is to guide them and let them learn in their own pace. Second, it is important to establish classroom rules that reflect real-life expectations. Pero mas mahalaga na dapat isama natin ang mga learners natin dito sa paggawa ng mga rules. Kasi it gives them the sense of ownership and responsibility, and it helps them understand the concept of discipline. Third is to create activities that encourages collaboration. Sabi nga nila, kapag ang mga bata sama-sama, nagtutulungan, they build stronger social and emotional skills. Dahil dito, natututo silang makinig, rumispeto, mag-share, respetuhin ang kapwa nila, matuto kung saan nga ba ang boundaries lang dapat nila. Fourth, we must build a safe and supportive classroom environment. Para syempre sa ating mga learners, kailangan pakiramdam nila, komportable sila sa lugar na kung saan sila nag-aaral. Kailangan komportable sila magpahayag ng thoughts nila, ng emotions nila. When learner feels safe, doon nila na-achieve yung maximum potential nila. Fifth, for learners with disability, collaboration with their families is essential. A strong support system will help them boost their confidence and show them that they are not less, na wala silang pagkukulang kahit may disability sila. Kailangan ang classroom ni teacher ay nag-aalaw ng isang inclusive classroom. And lastly, if a learner has experienced abuse, a teacher must remain strong and emotionally supportive. Kailangan nila ng tao na magpapafeel sa kanila that they are valued, they are safe, they are loved, and as a teacher, isa yun sa mga pwede nating maibigay sa kanila. Our presence alone can uplift their emotional well-being. In the end, teaching is not just about academics. It's about understanding, compassion, and creating an environment where every learners can grow.
And that's for our topic. Thank you for watching.